Welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And welcome to our September monthly debrief. September was a month where we maybe didn't do quite as much gaming as we had intended, but we still got some in, did a lot of digital gaming, but the big highlight was making a trip up to Noble Knight Games.
That was a blast. They
sponsor this video, and we're very grateful for their sponsorship. You can go back and watch. We did a couple car videos on the way there, interviews with some people there. It was an amazing time.
So we did 6 full videos, which is amazing.
Check all that out, but a little bit more from Noble Knight later on as well. I had a blast doing that trip.
Are we going to talk more about that later on, or do we?
We'll talk more about their sponsorship later on when we run.
But do we want to talk about the trip? Because I want to talk about Vijaya Nagara and Saverio Spagnoli.
Well, let's kind of jump on in then. So, real quick, what are the games outside of that trip that we played? Let's start there.
The games that we didn't play on the trip?
Yes, that were in... we played a lot on that trip.
Yeah, we did.
Also, you can kind of tell, I probably should have mentioned this first.
New table.
New table. You'll see this is a nice light oak.
It's beautiful.
The new table is finally finished. The specs are that it is very slightly smaller than 9x5. Yes. And I can't remember if it's 9x4. I believe it's 9x...
So I can now sleep on the table.
You can sleep in the table.
Right, so if I brought a sleeping bag and a pillow, and yes, I said pillow.
Yeah.
I could sleep on the table.
This table is the size of a tent that sleeps a family of 3 at least.
It's
Maybe
incredible.
4.
And it is very striking. This is the second time I've seen it, but the first time that I've seen the top.
Yes, we just
So when I walked down the stairs with my stack of games and almost killed myself, I came around the corner, it was like I heard angelic choirs and it was amazing. It is extremely bright, and I like it.
Yes.
I like that.
And you can't really see it because it's not in the shot, but it's this really nice oak veneer panels in the middle, and I love the wood grain on it.
Isn't this pine on the outside?
No, so this is red oak.
Red
on
oak,
the outside,
that's right. Okay, red oak.
And this is regular oak on the inside.
Yeah, boy, it's really
So there's
cool.
a couple different shades of colors, which is fun as well.
Well, and the grain, you can see the grains.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Our father-in-law, John,
did
this. He did a, what do you want to call it, a version 1.0
prototype
table for me.
Thing.
I don't care, it's amazing.
Yes.
It's not 9x5, it's more like 6x4 and 4.5 maybe. It's amazing, because I can have a game set up underneath and play a game and shoot unboxings.
Yes.
And that's plenty for me. But here we can set up like Arden 2 that we're going to talk about later.
Yes, we can set up games underneath.
And leave it.
And I have space for something else solo if I wanted.
Yeah.
And we can put the lids on, shoot some unboxings, have a bit of mess, and all this, if we needed all that.
It has made me nervous as I've seen you painting on the edge of the table, though.
Well, I'll just paint over. I'll paint over.
And you turn around and take a picture.
Yes.
Because when you showed me some of the pictures of the minis you were painting, I was like,
those are fully dry, and I'm very careful with that.
All right.
But also,
it is amazing.
Yes, I'm very excited. We played on it last week, where we played kind of inside because I didn't have the tops yet. And we did some work. There's a little block with some pads in here in between these 2 leaves, so that just in case if there was going to be any sink, there isn't any.
Got it.
But all in all, I couldn't have been happier. It's been a lifelong dream of mine. By lifelong, I mean a few years. But I was watching...
Well, you're only 30-something.
I know. So I was watching, don't ask me why, I was watching our old review of Imperium Romanum.
Okay.
And in that, I talked about getting a table big enough to fit that. We now have that. So...
Yeah, we might want to break that one back out.
Or I was also thinking, that plays up to 6 players. Maybe we do that at Basement Con next year.
That would be fun.
Because I think Mike has it as well.
Okay. I enjoyed Imperium Romanum. I thought it was a great game.
There's a lot to unpack there. But anyway, having a big gaming space allows us to be able to tackle some of these larger games. This is the size that it is because when I requested it, I literally laid out and measured It Never Snows, which is 5 maps. I think that's the biggest game that I own. And I was like, it has to fit this on top.
Yeah.
Because And I think Day of Days fits on this table.
Well, Day of Days actually fits on my table with just a slight overhang, so it easily will fit on here.
And those will
it has 4 maps or 5 maps.
I can't, and I couldn't remember the orientation of them.
One of them's a weird one. The Khotan Peninsula is kind of weird.
Yeah, so some of those awkward shaped ones like Saipan or my Guam doesn't fit inside, only just, but it fits on top easy. Yeah. So there's lots of games like that this space now allows us to do, and I'm very excited for it as well.
So I will say this, I know we spent about $700 on the wood, veneer, some of the other stuff. Was that for both of the tables?
I don't think so. I think he was because I think yours was made out of pine, which he was just cheap, and he would like have a lot of that stuff.
Oh, so I'm not as important as you.
No.
Is that what you're telling? Is that what you're revealing to me at this point?
Yes.
Okay, great. I love my table. I don't give a crap.
John secretly came to me and said,
I'm going to make you the better table.
I made him a crap one.
Yeah.
So that he knows I don't like him.
If that table is crap, I'm totally okay with it because it's amazing.
It's so good.
I love it. So, but maybe you should do a video.
Yeah.
Like maybe you should do a video of the table and... Because I think you had some pictures and some other videos.
I did a couple little shorts during the construction process, but now it's finished. I might kind of
do the finger holes on the end, really cool.
Yes.
I mean, you can lift, because you would not be able to lift this off by yourself had you not cut it in half and put the finger holes, I don't think.
And that was an interesting process to go through of like things we thought we could try and do. And I was like...
Because mine is still fully one piece.
Yes.
And to get it off, I'm going to need a second person.
It's
very awkward.
Because yours also has to... Because it's got a lip.
It's got to come up. And it's a little... But once again, I'm totally excited about it.
Yeah.
Totally excited. So maybe you should do a video. Show the inside, lay a game out, explain how it works. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll probably do that.
Yeah. And I don't think our father-in-law is available for consignment. I don't think he's interested in taking on contracts.
No. But I've asked him to see if he'd be, amenable to kind of putting together even like a loose
plan
instructions and kind of what this looked like, so you could be inspired by it at least. Because there was a lot of, manual adjustments and kind of doing some things on the fly that you probably wouldn't want to put to plans.
And because it is homemade, I'll be honest, there's a couple imperfections. Like, here's one, which that's fine. Yeah. You guys might have done that getting it down.
This is all white paint from the corner of the door trying to get this. It was a miracle we got it through this basement door.
You can see it kind of scraped here.
It's very low coming down those steep stairs. And we had to... But yeah, I can buff those out. That's not...
But, there's one... But John did fantastic work. We are very appreciative of it. It's kind of interesting. He's now retired. So anytime our mother-in-law goes away on a trip to visit family for like, say, 2 or 3 weeks, which she does fairly often, he then is like, I got to make the table, because he's got to do it in the garage and pull all the cars out and mess everything up.
Make a big old mess, yeah.
So anyway, enough about the table. Pretty cool.
Yes.
Very excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what it enables us to do.
It's going to improve our gaming life so much.
I think it is. I think it is.
I agree.
So other big news for September is that you joined Rally the Troops.
I finally did. I took the plunge. I joined, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I explained to you yesterday, though, there's a couple things that I'm really still struggling with.
Yes.
I get lost in the game. And what I mean by that is I can't see what you're doing, right? I'm not sitting there watching it the whole time, but I start to lose. Now, they do have a scrolling kind of log on the right side. Very important. But I don't know, I'm kind of lazy sometimes with that. So I end up, how did you end up taking my fort, Alexander? In Wilderness War. That one I find very hard to stay engaged.
I also think that is the most complex game on there as well.
There's no doubt.
And so you have to learn the UI and remember a pretty chromy, complex war game.
But I enjoy it. We've played a couple of games. I've lost both miserably. But that's okay. It's fun.
That's when I first started doing that, when it was like, whoops, forgot about that rule and I just died.
Well, it was kind of funny. I think I moved Montcalm from Louisburg all the way down to like Cataraqui or one of the places right in the middle of like Upper Canada. And, I forgot that rule that you can only have 4 dudes in a fort. So here you come charging in and crush me. And then we got to the, what do they call it? Winter quarters.
The winter attrition, yeah.
And I'm like, I just lost half my dudes. Dies. Yeah. So I've learned a lot from that. I've learned I got to create some key strategic forts. So that, and then I'm still struggling with the damn raids because I roll a hell of a lot of ones and it's very frustrating. And I have always believed, you may laugh at this, I believe I have real dice luck. When I roll real dice, I almost have a psychic ability to kind of get somewhat what I want. And man, in that game, it's like I rolled 3 or 4 ones in a row. It's like hell.
That's you know. And it's funny. The raiding is really difficult. If you look at the chart to raid with, it sucks.
You only succeed on a 5 or higher generally, and there's a lot of negatives. So there are negatives from you having stockades, right? That's a big negative.
Yes.
There's also a negative I thought for if the provincial militia is hot or like enthusiastic.
If you have 2 provincial militia, that's
boxes,
a -1. Yeah.
So all of a sudden you could be -2, and typically you're
and on a D6, that's all you can't.
Yeah, if you have a leader doing it, one of your, I can't remember how to say
I think it's their command rating.
Right, you can add their command rating, so you might be up, but you got to roll 5 or higher.
Yeah,
it's hard, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. It's not easy.
No, but I've played a few games as the French, and I get all my Indians get killed every time.
They get wasted
because I do the shotgun approach where I will
send them all
a
out.
3 card, send 6 of them out, and they'll all die. Because I'm terrible at that.
And I do the same thing.
And so I'm thinking about trying
put 2 of them in.
Put 2 of them with a good leader. And do a more targeted, the same guys over and over and over again to see if that is any better.
But it is about, with the French,
volume.
It's about volume because you only get half a VP for each. Now, the good thing is it does round it up, which is really cool. So when you only have half from 1 success.
That's good.
And you end the turn, you get 1 VP. Now, if you have 2.
That's no good.
It's just 1, right? So it is about, and I think the game that I did the best until I made the huge faux pas, I had like 6 or 7 raid markers out, and I was like, damn, the frontier's on fire, and it was actually working. But that was short-lived because then you crushed me. And that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. I'm learning. I'm growing.
Yes, it's a very, it's a fascinating game. The more I play it, the more I'm there's so much here.
There's a reason I think it's on its 3rd edition, and there's a reason it's been around since 2010.
Is it even more than that? I feel like
there might be more.
It's maybe a lot of pretty. And it's from 2001.
Oh, not 2010, 2001.
I think the edition that we have was from 2010. But yeah,
I just think it's a solid game. I do like that the events don't hurt you if you have to play the
game would be impossible. I think if you had to do that.
If that happened, there would never be.
Because I think the game is so almost delicate in a way where if you had that going against you, you wouldn't be able to make any progress.
Yeah.
But,
great game. But the other game, like Time of Crisis, we've played a lot. Andean Abyss, we've played a lot. I've played a couple of the other games, but I'm really trying to focus on those 3.
Yes, and that's how I started. I played a million Andean Abysses to kind of get it and learn it, and then I was like, now we're going to add Time of Crisis.
Yeah.
And now I add this and that, and now...
like I want to get into Pax Pamir, I want to get into some of those other games.
I'm in like one cycling game that I've no...
But it's fun,
If I get a point, I'm happy.
Yeah, but it's an interesting game, so... But yeah, Rally the Troops, it's a revelation for me. And if you don't know what Rally the Troops is, I have a written post on the blog that explains it. Very easy to sign up. You literally just put in your name.
It's absolutely free. There's no ads.
Totally free.
It's a labor of love.
I feel like the guy should charge because it's really good.
I think he could charge.
Even like a couple bucks a month, I would end up paying.
What I wouldn't be surprised to see is if they did like a voluntary, you know how like Wikipedia asks for money every year? If they did something like that, I think a lot of people would support it because it's such a slick platform.
Yeah, Tor Brandt, is it?
I don't know what his last name is.
Tor something. Great work. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. I think we're open for games with anyone.
Yes.
People invite me all the time and I'm like, get in. I have noticed I end up then getting dogpiled. Anytime I'm in a game of Time of Crisis and people know us, it's like, let's get Grant. Because if you look at a lot of my games, I've got 1 or 2 areas and that's it. Because everybody freaking kills me. And that's fine. I'm good with it. It's a blast. And the game that I do end up doing well or winning, you're like, yay. And then you move on to the next one and you get crushed. And that's okay. That's what it's about. But it's fun. It's a great system.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to create something to break up the idiots. Not the idiots. The guys that build 3 death stacks and stack them in Italia. And you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
You just can't do anything about it. Like, I need a card that's Plague. And you play it.
There's
and
a
you
smallpox
lose.
card.
Or something, right. But you need, maybe the new expansion will have something like that. So, anyway. Great fun.
That's wonderful. And yeah, we had the big old trip out to Noble Night Games as well last month.
That was a blast.
That was really fun. I don't know what I was expecting out of it, but I got everything out of it that I wanted.
I think the only thing I was expecting was the opportunity to get rid of a crap load of games.
Yeah, so
but even that process was much different than I thought it was. I think the values that came back on some games we were a little perplexed by.
In a good way.
Like, what? You're giving me that much credit for this? Interesting, but I know they also have a philosophy. They're trying to stockpile some games so that they have a bunch of a title. So that if it becomes hot again, or people get but
or because they have software where they know what's the turnover rate of this particular title.
Right.
They know it's going to go out the door that week.
Yeah.
Probably. It was fascinating. Yeah, we drove my car up the
Jeep
5-hour journey. We had close to 200 games in the back of the car, and I was a little bit nervous. Because we didn't tell them we were doing that.
Well, I felt a little sheepish, right?
Part of me, like, I had kind of half started to fill out a form, and then I just, like, we threw in so many more games. And then...
It was funny. You sent me a huge spreadsheet, and I'm like, pshaw, I'm not wasting my time doing that. Now, I'm going to create a spreadsheet as games start to
so that it's
rotate
ready.
off. Yes.
Yeah,
now,
that's sensible.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that, because I realize now, okay, there's a real value there where we can get more store credit and buy other games that we truly want.
Yeah.
Right? And they have new releases, too. It's not just old stuff.
No, and that's one thing I really like about them, is that, you got some store credit kicking around with them. You can order the latest JMT game. You can order the latest Compass games.
Yep.
Like, that's something that's...
Which is pretty cool.
Really neat. You can really parlay your collection to that. But yeah, we drove up with 200 games, and we were like, hey, we have 200 games in the car. And
they're like, no big deal!
They're like, yeah, this happens to us a couple times a week, no big deal. And they were unbelievably professional and kind and efficient, and just like took everything, and it was so good.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. We got to meet everyone there.
Great staff. I mean, all their staff are really, Lee was a fantastic guy that he kind of manages
the store manager.
The store. Yeah. We played games. I can't remember their names. On Saturday, we played games with.
It was, I don't remember.
But they were really good guys. The young lady that we met that was a dice goblin. Do you remember her name?
Began with K sound.
Okay.
I think.
K sound. Sorry, we're so sorry.
And then there was the.
People only know my name because I say I'm Grant.
Yeah.
But
and there was the blonde girl who was the Pokemon aficionado.
Oh yeah,
that was really fun talking to her about
was.
TCGs and stuff. Like
great people.
Everyone there was so welcoming, so approachable. The store itself was really cool.
Oh, it's very well set up.
But the store was cool because you get new stuff and the old stuff on display. And we've been to a number of game stores, and it's all new stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like seeing some of those old titles mixed in with those, and you can browse at your leisure. It's not crushed in like at a convention. That was really fun to kind of browse around.
I only bought one game, which I was very proud of myself. I think you bought one game plus some miniatures, and then we bought some dice. Yeah. I bought Pax Romana 2nd edition from GMT Games.
Yes.
A game that I've wanted for a long time. It's a 5-player game. Big multiplayer game. It takes like 10 or 12 hours to play, but maybe we could take that to a con or figure that out. What did you buy? I don't remember what you bought.
I bought this game right here, Austerlitz.
Okay, that doesn't help me. Oh yeah, Austerlitz, right here.
It was like $30, and it was from this old... I said the wrong name in a previous video. Mm-hmm. It is from the Napoleonic Brigade series, Volume 1, from the Gamers, from like 1993 or something like that. And you know what? It was...
The Peninsular War, right?
No.
Austria.
Yes.
Austerlitz is in Austria. Sorry.
But I was like, you know what? It's going to be great. It's $30.
Sure.
I just, I've had an enjoyable time with a lot of the games that came out of the Gamers, and if it's crap, it was $30.
Sure.
But I have a problem. I'm not going to pretend that I don't.
But you actually don't have a problem because you gave away 100 games.
So really, that was free.
Oh, it was paid for like 10 times over. So, but it's good that we were able to break away and actually give some games away. I told my wife, I feel like we had a huge victory. in our collecting lives. We literally broke down, and each of us gave, and we had some good games on there.
Yeah, I had like 95 games, I think I threw in.
But it came down to sometimes like, oh, Alexander has a copy of that, like Atlantic Chase, right?
Yeah.
We had a second edition copy. We gave that to them because we'll play that again together sometime, but you've got it. I don't need it collecting dust on my shelf. It is a fantastic game, but now there's some games I would never give away. Fire in the Lake.
Sure.
Combat Command. I mean, those are games that I'll never give away, but I was proud that we parted with some really good games.
Yeah.
I was proud of myself.
Yeah, I freed up a lot of space on my shelves. You can't see it, but this big old shelf back here.
But it's funny because all the games that were on the floor, we just put them in the... And now you still have 5 or 6.
Yeah, and I've got a couple empty spaces on this shelf back here as well.
Very proud of us.
And
we did a good job.
I have talked about, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and do another kind of collection video. Like I did a couple years ago where I just went through and shot all my shelves and was like, I have this, and this. This is good, haven't played this. I'm going to probably do the same thing because my collection has changed significantly since then.
Sure.
And I think that might be interesting.
Well, that was during COVID, right? In 2020?
I think it was
2019. 21. Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to.
And I've never done that because I don't have the camera. I could do it on my phone, but that might be weird and funky. But we'll see.
Well, no,
because you kind of scaled it down for each of the
and it was
levels.
a lot of cutting in it to get it to look nice. But
I did a written post on my collection recently where I just talked about the statistics of the different types and theaters and wars, and that was pretty fun.
Well, I think also knowing that was a resource that we just went and did that, and that it was
it's great to know.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my collection like, cool. I know I can purge all this stuff.
Yep.
In a year or two, next time we go back.
Yep.
And I'll have these other things that I might be kind of done with at that point. Or knowing that I have that outlet is really, really nice.
Well, and I still have 365 games. So,
yes.
And you probably have at least...
I probably have at least 250, close to 300.
So we still have a lot of games.
Yeah.
But I had a blast at Noble Knight. Very glad that they were very gracious hosts. They
extremely
we took up
accommodating.
A lot of their time. We played games with them. We talked with them. We walked around the warehouse, which was fantastic. If you're interested, I did have some pictures. I didn't.
We did not take any video.
Yeah, they didn't want us to take video of the warehouse, but I took some pictures and asked them, and they were okay with that. So there's 4 or 5 pictures in my recent written post. Actually went up today as we're shooting this. But if you're interested in that, check it out. I was blown away. 45,000 square feet of utter gaming goodness.
I mean, and
had a blast.
There were so many war games.
Oh,
they got a lot of everything else, but there was so.
Dan actually made a comment to me. I think when we were doing our tour, he thinks that about 60% of their business, I thought, was war games.
It was a massive.
Yeah, it's not as many. They have a lot of the other style of games, and I bought a couple of other games from them, but. Definitely war games, I think, are their bread and butter, for lack of a better word.
But they also have a lot of other stuff. They have like scale models. They got books.
Dice.
They have all sorts of collectibles.
Yeah, it's
a
geek paradise, frankly. And we spent how many hours did we just look at? I think a couple of hours between the couple of days just looking at the shelves and
I could have spent 2 days doing that.
It was fun.
Really.
Had a good time, enjoyed it. I was glad to get up there, glad to spend time together on the road. 5.5 hours is a long time, but we shot.
Would have been 5 hours if I had taken a wrong turn.
Well, that's true. It wasn't too bad. But three different videos in the car, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Meeting Saverio Spagnoli, one of the designers of Vijaya Nagara, was awesome. And then we played that game. That game was freaking awesome.
It was. So let's
really enjoy
have a rundown of the games that we did play.
Yep.
So whilst we were there, we played a game of in person with Dan and with Lee. We played Time of Crisis.
4-player. It was a blast.
We played with the Iron and Rust expansion.
Why would you ever play it without?
Because you don't own it.
Okay, good
That's
point.
the only reason.
If you've only got Time of Crisis, the base, play it. But Iron and Rust is just so much better. It adds so much cool things.
But also without adding that much, there's like no rules overhead, basically.
Yeah.
Time of Crisis is wonderful. We played it 4-player.
And you won.
I did.
I came in second, and I think I was like 3 or 4 points behind. I had a nice little Pretender Empire going, but I did it too late. And that's fine. It's fun. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Always enjoy it. I'm getting my butt kicked on Rally the Troops, and that's fine. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's great. Can't wait for the new deluxe edition to come out.
Yep.
It's such a fun game, and it's really easy. This is an easy game to teach to people who don't play war games.
Oh, because it's deck building.
It's a deck builder with an area control component. And they've almost immediately got it just from that.
Well, and it was kind of interesting because Dan doesn't play a lot of war games, but he really enjoyed it. But he really enjoyed the deck building concept because it's totally different than your normal deck building.
Yes.
Your normal deck building, you draw blindly from a deck you've built. This one, you get to choose every turn what cards from your deck that you've built that you need.
Which is one of my favorite things of the game.
Well, it is my favorite thing, but I always dread it because I'm like, oh, I made the wrong choice, and
Yeah, you're like, oh, I've got this amazing hand, and then a terrible hand.
Because you have to cycle through your crap until you get rid of them. We also played Charioteer 4-player.
Yes.
I wish more people had come. We had 4 or 5 people that talked to us, but I wanted to play some games with others, but we canceled the week before. I think people might have come more.
We had to change the date very last minute,
but we played Charioteer, had a great time. I always have a good time with this game. It's just fun.
Yeah, so
please don't ever get rid of this one.
Oh, never.
It's like, just so good.
The amount of times I've already played this since we've owned it, like we played it, like this is that almost like a little filler party game. Yeah, it takes 90 minutes, but like you play the game and you squeeze it in afterwards all the time.
You have some combat and you have some. I mean, it's just fun.
And it's unserious. So everyone's everyone's just talking and having a good time, and you're happy to play it.
I was glad I came in third, not last. So that's my claim to fame.
I don't even remember. I came second.
I thought you beat the guy.
No.
He ended up beating you at the end.
I had a really bad hand the last one. It finally came back to bite me.
That's my only other problem with this game is you need a card. In my opinion, you need a card shuffler. Because I end up...
A massive one.
Yeah, I feel like 3/4 of the way through the game, you're getting runs of cards, and sometimes they're bad, right? I don't know. I just wish it could shuffle it a little better. But it's a great game.
Yeah, love Charioteer. It's
always
just fun. That one will never go away.
Unadulterated fun is what I like to call it.
Yes. We played Vijaya Nagara with Sirius Bagnoli. So that was our first kind of play of that.
Yep.
And so that is volume 1 in the Irregular Conflict series from GMT.
So it's coin adjacent. It has coin elements, but not necessarily fits into the family of the coin series. So they created this secondary series.
And I think that came out of the Consim Game Jam a few years ago.
They won.
Yes. And which the thesis of that was take a coin game and make something new out of it.
Repurpose all the pieces.
So they transported Gandhi into 600 years before, and
well, it's like 12th
16th century.
It's 1290 to 1398 or something like that. So it's the 12th and 13th.
Okay.
13th and 14th centuries, right?
But it was
medieval India.
And the map has fewer spaces. It's changed a bit, but it uses all those same pieces. It was so good.
There's 2 things that I really enjoyed about it. One, I really enjoyed that Mongol invasion.
That was fun.
That the Delhi Sultanate had to deal with. But I enjoyed when you pull those cards, one of the other 2 factions, we were kind of like the insurgent factions without being insurgents. But we get to follow a process that kind of benefits us too.
And hurts them.
That was really fun, really interesting. And those are random too. Is it the same cards, or was there a deck of those that you kind of draw from?
No, there's 2 of those in each of the kind of 3 segments of the game, I believe. At least in the first 2 segments. And there's 1 for each of us in each of those segments.
Okay. I had a blast with that part of it. The other thing I really enjoyed was the events. More often than not, I think about 75% of the time, you remain eligible.
Yes.
So you get a huge boon.
Very action-packed game.
And then you're eligible again. So the reality of that game is you're almost eligible almost every time.
Yeah.
Not every time,
but you can stay eligible a lot of the time.
And it keeps it real fast and furious, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, there's never a time where there's not a lot of action going on. It's always lots of things happening.
One of the things I don't like about the coin series, and it only happens occasionally, is when you get skipped multiple times in a row. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen where you end up not going for a couple of rounds because of the way cards played out or the propaganda round comes up, and you don't really have that. maybe once or twice I felt like I was ineligible.
Yeah,
So it kept me more engaged, but it was awesome.
That game is not out yet. I think it's hopefully coming out towards the end of the year or beginning of next year.
I would bet first of next year.
Good gracious, am I looking forward to that game. It is so good. And even though it's not a coin game, boy, does it have the same feeling as
well. Oh, no doubt.
The things that you're doing, the way you're interacting with people, very familiar.
So the other 2 games that have been announced in that series is the a guest of Robin Hood, right, from Fred Serval, and the No Breaking Spaces. The one about the urban interstate. Why am I drawing a blank on the name?
It is called the Cross Bronx Expressway.
There you go. So those are the 3 announced volumes, and I'm looking forward to all 3 of them. I think they all look different and unique and interesting.
And I think those next 2 do diverge quite differently.
Oh, I think,
So I think we're going to get, once that kind of line of games fleshes out, I think it's going to be a very cool, very eclectic kind of collection to have.
But that was great. And Severio was just a really cool guy.
Very polite.
He's a professor at University of Wisconsin, I think, in Madison. So it was a 5-minute drive for him. We drove 5.5 hours to go, play the game. So we won that one. But had a blast. Really look forward to that one.
That was excellent.
We have a couple videos up on that. And I have tons of written content on the blog if you're interested from a couple of years ago.
But yeah, that game is like... that's extremely good.
Oh, because it was 90 minutes. It felt a lot like the British way, right? 90 minutes, I was in it. It was fast and furious, and it was fun.
But you get 3 players. Over. Yeah. And because that eligibility stuff, there's so much more going on. Yeah. It's very action-packed.
Very fun.
Really, really cool.
Enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, that was a blast. What else? Oh, we played... Yeah, I think those are the 3 games we played at...
Noble
Night. We also played Warfighter Fantasy from DVG.
We only played it once, and we're kind of disappointed by it. But I want to give it another shot. Yeah. Because I read up on it a little bit, and people were like, well, don't have just 2 heroes. Have 3 heroes lower level and 2 or 3 support guys. Okay. We kind of went all in with 2 guys that were good, and then our flame dog got killed the first encounter, which was really disappointing.
Which that's fine. There's lessons to be learned there. But also... the rulebook has a lot of problems in it.
It's atrocious.
They have, artifacts left over from Warfighter World War II with, a bunch of terminology.
Well, especially
printed
on the board.
That is...
the suppress, unsuppress, that doesn't exist in this game.
No.
It's called, what is it called? Vulnerability chits.
Yeah.
So it's vulnerability, but
and they function totally differently. And then there's...
that stuff bothers me.
The rulebook itself is... just love it. So, what's just funny, because a lot of people complain about Warfighter World War II and the rulebook's not good. I know the rules, we played them a long time.
Because we've played it a lot.
We also learned them on a much earlier edition.
True.
And I know the rules, and so I can play that, and I'm like, cool. But trying to learn this, which is different, there is a lot of new stuff to it, and some of it is very vague.
Yeah.
And, it was we move our guys on the regular trek, but then you move them onto this little battle board to do battle.
Yeah.
But then you look at the picture in the rulebook, and they show the pieces both on the battle board and on the track. Here.
Yeah,
and it's there's a party chit, but what if you split the party? How do you use the
yeah.
So, yes, this needs...
And the interesting thing is, the Warfighter system we enjoy.
I love
it.
The
so concept is very cool. I think this concept is extremely cool.
Yes.
It's basically Dungeons and Dragons fantasy, but it just needs some work. It desperately needs a second edition already, and the game's been out.
I was wildly frustrated because I really want this to be good, because I can see it has a lot of potential. Love the fantasy generic theme.
And the one real problem with it, in my mind, and I don't mind a game that's difficult, right? I don't mind that. But when you throw out skeletons, and there are 7 of those skeletons, and each one of them gets an attack on you, you're not going to survive.
Especially with the way that the vulnerability checks work in this game.
Because those vulnerability... they make it so that they're never going to not attack you. And conversely, you played the rogue who had a lucky short sword and a bunch of luck. You also were never not going to hit, which was frustrating.
All the time.
But you can only do one attack.
Or at most two with my little action chits.
It's just... It's a numbers thing, and I made this comment. In D&D, I would never, on a party of 4, I'd never throw out 12 orcs. Because ultimately, those 12 orcs are most likely going to kill you.
Yeah, that's
because they get 12 attacks. I'm going to roll a 20 at one point. You're going to take 12, 15 damage and die as a first level character.
Yeah.
And the same principle here. They need to scale those numbers down or give us some better protective values. The armor is good, but it doesn't work that well.
It works half the time.
Yeah,
when you fail your... But everyone's... Like, our heroes had like a 1 terrain value. You fail it every time.
Every time.
So you then... It's 50% of the time it goes against your arm.
Well, and I had a spellcaster. I was a battle mage, elven battle mage.
We learned some lessons.
I could really only have one spell because that spell cost a ton of resources to do. Experience points, card discards, and the spell that I had...
mana.
And mana. The card that I have, all it did was allow me to reroll a combat dice. Which was cool, but all of those resources to reroll one dice? Come on.
You're having a laugh.
Why would I have... And I would never put that one back in. But Magic Missile was just as bad.
Yeah.
It was like one attack and cost all those resources. Why in the world would I do that? So anyway... That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Very frustrated with that game, unfortunately.
But I want it to be good, and I want to play it.
And you're like a few components and a new rulebook away from
being much, much better.
I think it being better.
And also maybe toning down some of those dang creatures.
But you can do that by having, like, all you have to do is, like, redo the adventures, which tell you, like, how many of these guys... You should be fighting, like, one of these dudes.
But I have to remind you, though, those skeletons that were kicking the crap out of us, those were nuisance-level skeletons. Which is the lowest level.
Yeah.
And there were 7 of them, dude.
Well, and we also had the
gelatinous
cube, which has 7 hit points.
Yeah, and had 2 attacks at 5 damage.
That's 14 hit points on the board.
Impossible.
And your heroes have 4.
Yeah.
And they're doing 8 attacks against you.
I never have felt that way in any of the other Warfighter. Absolutely never felt that way. Never felt like I was so outclassed that I couldn't survive. No. And we've played that dozens of times and won about 50% of the time. More often than not, we lose, but I want it to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Because when you win, and it's awesome.
But it was also, on top of that, frustrating trying to fight with that rulebook as well.
Oh, no
Which
doubt.
was kind of like deflating.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we played that.
I want to play it again. I don't want to give up on it. One of the games that I was much looking forward to, and this is like a bunker hiding behind.
Yeah, this is huge.
So this is a new game it's coming out on GameFound. Can you hear me? Assault Sicily 43, and it has a campaign called Gila Beachhead. So it is the Italian landings. It has the Americans, the Italians, and the Germans represented.
Yes.
I think in the future they're talking about expansions to bring the Brits in,
yes,
etc. But this is a tactical level war game. We really enjoyed Assault 41, which was the first one a couple of years ago. It has everything you're wanting, lots of crunch, lots of strategy, lots of decisions about what actions I take and how do I take them. It has cards to throw in there. The best part is the formation cards that you're never going to have the same setup twice, which is very cool. And I love the combat dice.
It's just a fun system.
Yeah. The level of combat dice, all the way from blue, which are the worst, up to red, which are the best. Blue has like 4 no result sides, one hit, and then 1 like suppress. Whereas red has only 1 or 2 sides blank.
I think it's just 1.
1, and then everything else is multiple.
Like double hits.
Double hits, crit hits. Oh. And it's just a fun, quick, very cool game. We played a very good little scenario. I don't feel like I could win it based the way I set up, but we definitely want to try it again. But it's coming out on GameFound. Looking forward to this, and this game is just big.
Yeah,
it's just big.
There'll be a preview video of this either
this coming week
or just after this debrief.
Spiral-bound rule books, very nice touch.
And it's a massive box, and it's chock full, and it has everything. Like the Assault Red Horizon 41 had a separate air and artillery expansion. That's built into this. It's a really nice package.
Plus the campaign mode allows you to play through 7 or 8 or 10 scenarios, and you're going to lose guys as they die.
Full campaign system in there.
Very cool. Check this one out. Wolfgang Klein, no relation.
No,
to you.
but he is German, and they are a German company.
Eric Rankel, they're the two designers. They've done a great job. And frankly, for a new publisher, I think their products are really, really good. We enjoyed Assault 41 a lot.
Yes.
So Assault Sicily 43 coming to Game Found soon.
Let's talk about some of your solo games.
Yeah, so I played a bunch of solo games this month. So I played a little bit of that Others May Live from Hollandspiel. I'm still trying to figure this one out. I'm not very good at it. You literally lose this game if any one of your rescue targets gets taken out. So you've really got to do well, and that's cool, right? There's fast-moving jets that can bring in napalm and help you out, take out guns. But you got your little choppers and your little spotting aircraft, and it's just a really fun system. I've only played this like 1.5 times, and I need to play it more, but very cool little system. Brad Smith is the designer, so the NATO Air Commander was his first game. This is his second game. You're going to want to look into this if you like the Vietnam War. This is search and rescue. Very, very cool. I'm going to play this more this month. I also broke out Keep Up the Fire because I was going to write a post on it. I wrote a post on the board. I love this game.
I really like this game as well.
This is on the 1901 Boxer Rebellion, I think, in China. Very cool mechanics. You're defending a compound, just like every other States of Siege series game, but then you've got this relief column on the other side that's got its own board, and they're trying to get to Peking to relieve the siege. My gosh, it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. Yeah,
not
impossible.
You're basically playing two States of Siege games at the same time, and you have to win both.
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
If you play one, you know how difficult it is.
Well, you have to survive on the left, because I had almost all my dudes gone pretty quickly, but I actually got the relief column. Very last turn.
I've never been anywhere close to it.
The very last turn, I moved 2 spaces because of a card, and I rolled a 6 and a 5, which I was like, I've never seen this. So anyway, great game from Worthington Publishing. And then I played these are the 3rd editions. I think I keep saying the 2nd. Ottoman Sunset, the Great War in the East, and Habsburg Eclipse, the Great War in Eastern Europe. These are one of the first few States of Siege series games, published by Victory Point Games, designed by Darren Leveloff. They are fantastic. I have really enjoyed my plays of these. I won Ottoman Sunset. I've still never won Habsburg Eclipse. And I think there's an error on the board that they're going to send out a sticker, supposedly. One of the areas is it's got flags on it. It's got 2 flags on it. So I probably would have been losing.
Sure.
So very hard to win. But if you ever win these things, it's going to be a minor miracle. But you can also play them together. I have yet to play them together. I want to do that. You've played the first editions, correct?
So I have the old pizza box editions of these. Then you can watch. We have reviews and playthroughs of these coming out soon.
Yep.
But you can watch the old ones and then compare the components.
Yeah. Oh, so much better. So gorgeous.
But I really enjoyed these. I like Ottoman Sunset a bit more. I think it's just got more interesting bits and pieces going on, especially with the Dardanelles Straits.
That is very cool. I still think I like Habsburg Eclipse better, but I do love the Dardanelles. That is such a cool part.
I have more attachment to the theme in this.
Got it.
I think that's a big part of that as well.
Got it. Well, and there is a Lawrence of Arabia Chit that comes on eventually, and very fun games. I've enjoyed them a lot. These are new from Victory Point Games and Tabletop Tycoon.
Yes.
So definitely give these a look. They're great games.
Yeah, you couldn't get those for a long time. They were very expensive secondhand.
These will never leave my collection.
No.
I'm a States of Siege series aficionado and really enjoy the series, and will never get rid of those.
So I just brought a couple of kind of examples. Everything else, I think, was mostly played on Rally the Troops.
Yeah.
So
it was a slow month here.
We played a lot of Andy and Abyss.
I have played 7 games of Andy and Abyss, and I have 3 going.
Nice. That's a good number.
Really enjoy it.
And then
I'm doing really well as the cartels right now. I think you're in the game. You're the AUC.
Yes.
And I just got rid of like 3 of your bases.
Yeah, I think I was in the lead, and then I just got...
I'm sorry.
That's what happens in those games, though. And then everyone will leave me alone, and then I'll just build them up again.
Well, and I'm very close. I've got 12 bases out, I think, and I've got like a lot of resources, but we're not going to win because the propaganda came up.
Oh, okay.
But it's still fun. I love it.
But yeah,
really enjoy
playing through Andy and Abyss, I think I have like 52 games of this played now.
I'm thinking I have about 10. So I'm still a novice.
This goes much slower. So like I played this
no doubt.
almost exclusively. Then they released Time of Crisis. I have 48 games of that played, just because it's much quicker.
This is a much longer game anyway. Time of Crisis. If people actually do their moves 3 or 4 times a day, it can be over in 2 days.
You can do it in 1 day.
Yeah,
almost.
you could if everybody.
I also am in one game of Hammer of the Scots, but I played a couple that month, and it is
very good.
It's just fun. It's a Columbia block game.
Sure.
I am very bad as the Scottish in this game.
Okay.
I can win as the British, and I won a few games doing that, but the Scottish are somewhat of an enigma to me still.
Why?
I just think it's a bit harder for them. So, because what happens is the Scottish kind of set up and they've got like this stuff here.
Yep.
And so there's like British guys up here
So
and
they're
then a bunch
attacked
down
from
here
all-
and they can bring a big... Yeah, and so it's that, do I send guys up here, lose all of this, and then move back? But then it's
challenging.
Yeah, it's a...
I'd love to play this with you.
Yeah, it's a good one. We'll have to set it up. Because it's just... Yeah. I've never won as the Scottish.
And this is the similar style of game to Richard III, right? Kind of card driven in a way.
Yeah.
Block war game.
It's almost identical to Richard III, except this is like a much longer straight game instead of just the 3 hands that you get in Richard III.
And the block system works pretty well in that, I'm assuming.
Oh, it's wonderful.
You can't see until they turn them around for combat.
Yep, and it just like pops up a little battle window, and you just press your buttons, and it turns them all.
Writing it down like he had this, and he had this, and that, and that.
I take screenshots. No, I don't. You could do that.
You could. And I have not.
No.
Contrary to popular opinion, I know how to take a screen grab with the snippers. I just like to use my phone.
To take a picture of a screen.
Which looks ridiculous.
Very Gen
But did
X
you
of
notice
you.
the other day I did the Time of Crisis one with the screen grab? And it looked really good. You commented on it.
Okay. No, I think I did, yeah. I was just trying to remember which way.
Couldn't even tell.
Lastly, I just got at Wilderness War. We played a couple games of that were short.
Such a fantastic game.
I just wrapped up a game that went to 1760, so it went almost the whole way. And I had 10 British victory points. I couldn't ever get the 11. He would keep raiding me right at the end.
But you won, right?
Yeah, he ended up conceding because there was
last year, and he couldn't.
I think he had like 4 guys left on the board, and it was and I pulled like the Royal Americans, so I put a big stack of 4 guys, and it was over at that point.
So did you take Louisburg in that game?
Oh my god!
Because sometimes you don't take Louisburg and you can still win, right?
Yes. So in that game I had very successfully campaigned. I had taken Louisburg, I had landed, and I had taken Quebec.
Oh, and we were pressuring Montreal?
I had so many victory points, it was crazy. And his very last card of what would have been the game, because it was the winter, he was moving to try to like take Quebec back as like a last ditch. And like an idiot, I like moved out to intercept him. And as soon as you do that...
Yeah.
Like I just pressed the button like an idiot.
Sure, it happens.
Yeah. I pressed the button, and as soon as I sorted out into whatever space this is, I can't read it.
Yeah, that's pretty tiny.
You lose the fortress victory points because it reverts. And I lost the combat, which gives him another victory point.
But you still won the
And
game.
all my guys died because they had nowhere to retreat to. So it was a total disaster. And then that happened, I think that happened in like 1758.
Okay.
And we fought it out for like 3 more whole years, 6 full turns. And it was like... Because he and I had a big death stack, and I had nothing, and it was kind of not great. And so he's like charging down here, taking all my stuff back.
Nice.
And so I just kept I finally was able to grind it back.
Yeah.
But it was like the dumbest thing I've ever done in a game. And I pressed the button because I was too excited.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done it. If I'd have done nothing, I would have won.
Yeah, this is your copy, right?
This is my copy. Yeah, it's unpunched. I just bought a copy because I've played it.
Oh yeah, no, that's a game that should be on your shelf. I've got my copy, and that's an example of one that we're both going to own.
Yeah.
Because I may play with someone else, or I may need to look at the rule book when I'm playing online.
It's also one of those things where, like, I've played it with you, we played it once.
Yeah.
And I've played it now. I've completed 8 games of that.
Okay.
And I'm in 3 more currently.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm playing it for free on this platform. I probably should buy a copy of support, in a way. So I also wanted to have it because I love it. And So I bought a copy of it because it was wonderful.
Did you get it from Noble Knight?
No, I didn't.
Alexander.
I bought this from
I'm ashamed.
a game store in Texas, I believe.
Okay.
I don't remember who it was. But
We should have gotten it from Noble Knight. We have a lot of credit there.
It's true. I don't know if... yeah. Okay. Maybe I should have done.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. I had a good time with it.
Good. Well, that was all the games I think that we played.
I think that's the case.
Right?
Yeah.
We might have gotten something else in. So what are we going to play
Great question.
this month?
So
We've got a big gaming day tonight and tomorrow with friends.
Yes.
That I'm very, very excited about. Very much looking forward to.
We didn't play last week, right?
Say that again?
Did we play last week?
We did on Saturday evening. We played Fantasy Warfighter and Assault.
That was September, though. Technically, that was the last day of September. October.
It was. It was.
So
September
I don't have
30th.
to worry about any of that. Okay. So yeah.
And we also played Hackmaster. We played 2 different sessions of Hackmaster, 5th edition, with our group and brother-in-law who's game mastering, and we gained a level. We're now all 2nd level.
That was fun.
And we only almost died 35 times.
Yeah. Brutal game.
You know, I haven't been hit in 2 adventures.
I also haven't, but
I'm a frontline guy.
If I take one hit, I will die.
Yeah. I'm an assassin, so I'm up front
I'm a
because
mage.
I can do the, what's TOP again? Threshold of Pain.
Yep.
I have a special ability that causes more pain because I can hit you where it hurts, and monsters fall down regularly. Because I do anywhere from 10 to 12 damage, and that's hard to...
Yeah,
they'll fall down
and
and
they
be down
regularly fail those rolls because of your ability.
So they're squirming on the ground, and then I'm stepping
off.
on them and moving to the next guy. But that's a blast. I have a great time with that game.
It's a fun game.
So anyway, what are we going to play this coming month? We have a fairly optimistic...
Yeah, so let's talk about what we're doing tomorrow, because I think the stuff tomorrow is like definitely
We're definitely going to play these, yeah. All right, so we have 5, there'll be 5 of us?
There'll be 4 of us. Russ couldn't make it.
Ah.
I know.
Well, that sucks.
It'll still be good.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've got Fallen Land 2nd edition.
This is a 2nd edition copy. This was an advanced copy.
Yes.
So in case you're wondering where your copy is...
It's coming.
It's coming. This is an advanced copy. So we did an unboxing, which was, I think, on the channel a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. This is by Fallen Dominion Studios, right?
Yes.
John Longren and his friend Sean Cahill,
Yep.
out of Iowa.
Good friends of the blog.
Yeah, good dudes. This is a post-apocalyptic, narrative-driven, card-driven style. Not a war game. No, there's a lot of fighting though.
But it's like a pick up and deliver game.
Yeah.
You like go out on missions and you're trying to get resources.
And you're building your base, your community, trying to get victory points. You get technologies. You find really cool equipment and weapons.
But really,
nuclear football. You know,
all of this is like a vehicle
for a story.
For the stories.
Yeah. The cards are really well written. And they literally have 4 or 5 paragraphs on each of those cards.
Get your magnifying glasses out.
That you end up spending time reading to the group because it's fun.
And it's like these pulpy sci-fi stories, some of which you'll recognize.
Every trope you could ever imagine is going to be included in this.
And you like read the fun, cool story, and then it's like... And then it gives you like some challenge you have to overcome or some game effects that you have to implement as a result of that. And those things are sometimes really silly. Some of them are really serious. Some of them are just like kind of crazy and fun stuff happens. It's just very enjoyable. We played it 2-player, I believe.
Yeah, like many years ago.
And so we're gonna
had a blast with it.
We're going to have 4 players. I'm excited to see what that looks
very
like
much
with
excited.
more people. And the new map that's in here as well.
The new components on this
very
are
nice.
Absolutely gorgeous. I love the dice. The dice are custom, and they're multi-cut. There's like red, orange, yellow, blue, I think. Maybe.
There's a billion
There's
colors.
a bunch of them. But they're 10-siders. It's just fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this game. I'm looking forward to playing 4-player.
Yeah.
And it's a laugh. It's a beer and pretzel.
Yeah,
game,
it's not
right?
it's not serious.
Don't take it too seriously. If you win, great, but just have a blast with it. Very exciting. Very cool.
I'll never forget when we were having like that race. And like there was one of the cards.
Yes.
It was like you're in like a drag race.
Yeah.
And then like
half my guys died.
And someone grabs the steering wheel and you have to fight them off. And if you fail, they just go like this. And then you drive off the road and crash and everyone dies. And that's what happened. It was just one like.
Well, there also was one like we found the nuclear football.
Yeah.
Literally, we found a nuclear football, and we went to like an abandoned missile silo and had to try to. I don't remember how, but it wasn't good.
No,
it didn't end well for us.
And it was like, hey, it's like the giant robot with green glowing eyes. That's definitely not the Terminator.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like it was
cool stuff.
It was just fun. This will be just a fun one. I'm looking forward to it.
And this box is so much bigger than the old box.
I thought the other box was like what, like big this way.
It might have been a little wider, but it was much smaller than this. This is significantly.
Well, this
better.
has like all the expansions in it. And
so it has
the holders, everything.
It's like the market expansion, and then the In Darkness, which has the solo mode. Just a ton of cards. I mean,
does it have Descendants in it as well?
It does, yeah, the new one, Descendants. I mean, it has a stack of cards like this big, and there's 5 or 6 different types of those because they're based on terrain.
Yeah.
So, very cool. The other one, you can talk about this because I haven't
So the other one we're going to play today, or tomorrow, is John Company. Again, we'll play this 4-player. This is what we've got. I've only played this 6-player. John Company, 2nd edition from Whirligig Games.
Beautiful edition.
Well, yeah,
so amazing
because you did the Kickstarter and got all the pimped out components.
Yep.
So and it's really nice to play with from that standpoint. That's really fun. But this is a wonderful game of like everything under the sun. But it's a lot of like negotiation and trading and bartering and buying and influence and then rolling dice, trying to exploit resources.
So you are wealthy families in the time of the East India Company, right? So you're going to India and you're trying to
just pillage the resources, basically.
And become rich and work together so that your families do better.
But you score victory points based on how many of your family retire and how well they retire.
Got it.
And so you're trying to retire your guys through the game. But the problem is when they retire, they require upkeep, which is expensive, and they can't contribute to the rest of the game, which is useless. So it reminds me, it's the same ethos as something simple like Dominion. You buy those victory points. They mess up your cards. They mess up your hands.
Yeah.
But you have to buy them.
So isn't it also in some ways like a Ponzi scheme, right? Because in Ponzi scheme, what you're doing is you're leveraging this amount of money against future amount of money. So you're trying to retire. You understand the comparison I'm trying to make? You're retiring a family that ends up kind of draining you.
But you have to keep making money to pay for them.
And so it's the same thing as a Ponzi scheme in some ways, which I find interesting. Yes. I'm very much looking forward to this.
It's so fun. There's so much going on. And the first time you play it, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. And when you start doing that, you can see all of the knock-on consequences that it has. And you're like, oh, no.
And it's a long game, right? 2 to 3, maybe 4 hours, or 3 to 4 hours.
I would say anywhere from 3 to 5 hours with max players. Because we're going to have 4 players, it might be a bit quicker.
Okay.
And we're new, so it's probably going to go horrendously. Yeah. So.
But it is absolutely beautiful. I will say this. I had to repack this game. You guys had played it at WBC without me, I might add.
Yes.
And put it back. You guys did an okay job, but in transit, it all started to get wonky, and the lid was like this far off. So I had to get everything out, kind of reorganize it, and now it fits better. I wish they had a little bigger box. That's my only...
Especially because you have the deluxe edition with it just needs a little bit bigger box.
The pieces are just huge.
Yeah.
So... those are, I think, all the games that we're going to...
Yes.
Oh, no, we've got a couple more.
Well, so on Sunday morning, the plan is that Mike, who's coming over to play all this other stuff with us, he's a big GCATW fan. He's going to teach me this system.
And I'm not going to be there. But
no, so that we can play this later this month.
And this is a brand new 2023, right?
Yeah, On to Richmond 2. This just came out earlier in 2023.
The Union Strikes South.
And but like it's kind of a daunting rulebook. It's big. It's not. There's some great tutorials. I think Patrick's tutorials. Tactics, I've watched some of his videos online, and they're very good. But there's nothing like having experienced players sit down and be like, "Hey, this is what you're trying to do. This is how this works." So that then when
it says low complexity.
I know.
Okay.
Which that was a big surprise to me. It's still got some complexity to it that I've watched, but when I kind of saw that, I was like, oh, I definitely get it.
It's just involved.
Yeah, it's
just involved.
Got some richness to it, but like,
and there's a ton of counters.
Yeah, like it's massive. But
I'm looking forward to
space to play.
Well, and I'm excited because you historically have not enjoyed American Civil War games.
No, there's a few that are really good.
We've played a couple, and you've not really enjoyed them. So I'm hoping you can get into this, and then we can start playing a couple more of those. Very similar to what I want to do, hopefully, with Napoleonics. We just haven't had a lot of a Napoleonics experience, but I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm really, I got high hopes for that. So I'm gonna hopefully learn it on Sunday morning, and then we'll play it later on in the month. I'll crack out a scenario for us, and
then Ardennes 2, we're gonna.
Yes, we're gonna start our first kind of longer ongoing game.
Yeah, we'll leave under the table.
Yes, so I'm going to set up Ardennes 2, also a 2023. So this is
it's like a second edition, right?
Effectively, but it's much bigger and reworked. So this is
SCS.
Part of the Standard Combat series from Multiman Publishing. It's 2 maps, and it's the Bulge. So I'm going to set this up. We're going to put it on the inside of the table, and I'll probably just play it some solo, and then you'll come over and we'll play some more, and I'll finish it off if we need to.
Do you enjoy that art? Like, is that attractive to you?
It's fine.
Okay.
I enjoy it, yeah. Is it a little bit funky with his way his head's tilted, and he's got a very strawberry-shaped face?
This is too CG done, but that's my opinion.
But, like, if you do that, it's really good, right?
Yeah, I just think this guy sticks out. He almost looks like he doesn't fit.
Yeah, so to me it looks like he's floating.
Yeah, anyway. I do think this is a better cover than some of their others, so I appreciate that our MMP is trying to do that. Yeah, this is how many maps? 4 maps?
Just 2.
Just 2, okay.
I thought about setting up North Africa, which is 4 maps, but I wanted to do a 2023 game.
Let's do that,
yeah. That's more...
Well, and we need to play some 2023 games.
Yes.
We need to get back to it.
But yeah, this is... we'll set this up, and we'll get this played at least as significantly as we can.
Okay.
I also have Goose Green, which is part of the Tactical Combat series from MMP as well. This is a little magazine. Very small amount of counters, just the 1 map. One of these days I'm going to learn how to play TCS. Hopefully, I know Aardwolf and some others online are like trying to put together maybe like a tutorial or like even just an example. I just want to see what that looks like.
Sure.
Because I have TCS Area.
Yep. We got that
I really want to play that. And I've read the rules, but it's such a unique system with you put out written orders, and once those are fulfilled, you move on to your next order sheet. But then, like, when you do that and how you do that and what that looks like, I don't know. I just want to see it done so that then I'm a bit more confident of, like, I guess this is how you play it. But then,
now, that's a nice cover. I really like that cover.
Well, it's a photograph.
I know, but they've done some...
Yeah, they put a little...
color... I just think it looks good. I like it.
But yeah, this is...
The Falklands, right?
Yep.
So this is 1988?
Yeah, and Goose Green, it was basically a campaign to take a little peninsula, at the end of which was the Goose Green airstrip, and...
Yeah, it looks awesome.
It was to capture an airfield, basically.
TCS, Tactical Combat Series.
This one, like, doesn't use the order forms, though. So, like, we're just going to play it as a regular war game, basically. Okay. Which is fine.
Those order forms look pretty cool. Yeah, I've enjoyed those.
That's, like, the whole point of the system.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting.
I'm going to play it. I'm interested. But yeah.
Okay. I think that's all that we were going to try to play, right?
Well, we're going to play Road to Independence today.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is from the Historical Game Company, right? Through Blue Panther. Is it upside down?
THGC.
Who did this?
Who did that? This is not my game.
Well, you opened it up and looked at the dice.
Is that true?
Trickster. Yeah, we looked at the dice.
You took the lid off the box, though.
And you flipped it around to grab the dice. The custom dice.
I will concede that I probably did that.
Yeah, right.
That's probably fair.
You didn't probably do it. But anyway, this is an American Revolutionary War game. Fairly simple. Got some event cards. You got to take locations. Has some custom dice. It mainly focuses on the Western theater, which is a relatively ungamed part of the American Revolution. I think always we focus on the East, the main theaters. This is really focused a lot on the West. So plays in about 90 minutes. I'm looking forward to trying it out.
I hope it's good. The last one that we pulled out, trying to be optimistic, is the Russian campaign.
Well, we've said this about 15 times. This is clipped and ready to go. I just want to play it. I really like East Front games now.
But, like, we've talked about a lot of games today, but, like, 3 of those we're going to play today and tomorrow.
Yep.
And then it's like...
Then we've got 3 weeks to play the other 3.
This will be ongoing, and I will do a lot of it solo.
And then I'll do my solo games
And then this is 2 weeks of gaming.
Yep.
So...
Yep. Nope, you're right.
We're very optimistic usually, but I think it might be more realistic.
And then I'm going to play these. I'm going to play Global War, which is brand new from White Dog Games, and then I'm going to play more of That Others May Live. So those are kind of the games that I'm focused on.
And then all the usual stuff that's on Rally the Troops. So I'll be just spamming more of those.
Because that's easy, right?
It's really easy.
Kind of do it in the morning when I wake up before work, and I do it over lunch, and
just do it when you come home.
Do it when I come home. I kind of open my computer, and when I get a ding, I take my turn.
I always know that at 4:35ish, I'm gonna have 16 turns to do. Yeah, everyone gets off work.
Yeah, they get off work. Yeah, and it's fun. If you haven't tried Rally the Troops, you need to.
Yes.
You need to get on it and try it out.
So I think that was everything that we played and will play. So let's have a quick chat about what's on like the Kickstarter or the game.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring up 3 Kickstarters, just 3. There's some others that I think are coming out. The one we already talked about, Assault Sicily 43, that one debuts on October the 13th on GameFound.
Yes.
Not Kickstarter. OST, Old School Tactical Volume 4, which is the Italian theater, actually kicked off yesterday. We're shooting this video on Friday the 6th of October. It's already like 350% funded, but tactical level war game that we've enjoyed all 3 of the previous volumes.
And if you like OST, or if you're not sure, and like, I feel like OST can be kind of hard to get a hold of outside of the big campaigns. Eventually they get them back in, but like, if you want to get it, now's kind of the time to do it, really.
Yeah. The third one that I'll bring up is the Battle of Kalkin Gol, July of 39, through August of 39. It is coming to Kickstarter on October the 24th from Princeps Games. So Princeps Games did the Freezing Inferno, Soviet-Finland War, and then they did the March to the Drina that we played a couple of years ago.
Yes.
So those are 3 that I think look interesting. Yeah, should be.
I'm sure there's more. There's always more out there.
Yeah, but those are the 3 that I'm mostly aware of.
Yes.
So
yes. Check those out if that's something you're interested in. But right now, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games. So very grateful for Noble Knight's sponsorship of our channel. Once again, we had a blast going there. It was almost like a pilgrimage in a way, because I've been buying from Noble Knight before I was ever into wargaming, because they do old RPGs and miniatures and things like that I used to get from them. And so finally kind of going there, seeing it all was amazing. The warehouse was incredible.
Well, and it is definitely worth the trip. There's no doubt about it. For anybody that has an hour or 2 hour drive, you need to do it.
And it's just like, even if you're not interested in kind of doing that aspect of it, because they don't let everyone back there, but it's a really nice game store. It's a really nice play area, and the staff are incredibly friendly.
Yeah, and you can go into the computer and look up any game that you want, and they can bring it to you.
Yes,
which is so cool.
Yeah,
or you can order it.
That is a great service,
right? You can order it beforehand, pick it up. That was one other thing I wanted to mention. I'm not going to mention his name, but we had a patron.
Yes.
That bought us a game, like idiots. I forgot to pick it up. He had it sitting there, so then he had to pay to ship it to us. I have told him I will reimburse him for the cost of the shipping. Yeah. He never responded to that, so I hope he's not mad.
Get in contact so I can send you that money.
But we ended up buying the Jaws of Victory from New England Simulations.
Yes.
It only has 1,200 counters. It's a huge war game.
Like, I've got a huge table to
Well, and that's why I got it, right? I was like, okay, this is one I've always wanted, because it was like from 2 years ago.
And it's a massive East Front game.
He bought it for us. We were supposed to pick it up, but now it's been shipped to us. It's a beautiful looking game. I haven't unboxed it yet, but I want to clip the counters and get it ready so that we can potentially play it underneath the surface. So
very grateful for their sponsorship.
I will say his name was John. So thank you, John.
If you were okay. Yes, and I'll send you the money for the shipping. Just let us know.
Sorry about that. I'm an idiot.
So what we'll do
is... We're just so excited, like JoJo the idiot. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry.
On to the kind of the main topic of our of our video today. And today we're talking about chit pull games.
Yeah.
And we talked about card-driven games a few months ago, and I think card-driven games are maybe a little bit newer, or it's a little bit easier to kind of trace the kind of history and chronology of those. We also have a lot of them. Chit pull games, that's a bit less the case, because chit pull's been around for a long time.
There's a million of them.
There's 10,000 of them.
But they do tend to stick to series, right? So you'll have a series of 3 or 4 games that use it, and they use it in a specific way. I think today we're going to talk about some very famous series, right? Some from the likes of Ted Racer, GMT,
some MMP games.
MMP games. What do we call that? The Red Box series.
Yeah.
I've got some from White Dog Games that does it a little bit differently. I've also got some games from Hollandspiel that uses chit pull a little differently. But typically, chit pull is about activation.
Yeah,
right?
So let's start with that. When we say what's a chit pull game? A chit pull game is a game where the core mechanic of turn taking and like activation or even initiative is there will be a cup which will have some form of different chits, and you will randomly pull one out. And that will correspond to a formation or a unit or an area on the board, and those are the people who then activate.
Yeah.
And what that does is that makes it so that you can't predict who's going to activate when throughout the course of a turn, as well as some games have like events in there or other different things that are going on.
Some games even do something where you are not guaranteed to activate, but most of them I feel like it's you draw until the chit cup is empty.
Yeah, a lot of them have, or very similar to
But there are some that you're not always guaranteed to activate. Those are even, I think, ratchets up the tension of reaching in and drawing out those chits, because you're like, oh man, I really need to go first this round, or I really need to activate this core. Is that going to happen? And that, to me, is one of the best parts about the mechanic and how it's used.
Yeah, so what that does is it means that your game is a little bit unpredictable. So it's not just like I go, you go, which is very rhythmic and has a pattern to it, and you can play to that.
Yeah.
Which some gamers think that's very gamey, and you can kind of outgame the game by knowing, I'm going to move all my guys and do all of this, and because I know that you then have to kind of do this and react, and that can become predictable. What it also allows is it's excellent as a mechanic for solitaire play, because you just pick the chit and you do the best possible or reasonable thing with that formation.
Yep.
And then you just pick the next chit and you do the same thing.
Yep.
And so it kind of takes you out from like, I'm playing this side, while you're playing all of them, and you just do what seems reasonable, or if you want to do something crazy, like roll a die to see if they would do that. I don't know. Like so chit pull is something that we will regularly say excellent for solitaire play.
Well, and I think the other thing I enjoy about chit pull, the solitaire aspect is very, very cool. The unknown is very, very cool, right? That tension. But it also, I think, creates such a very interesting narrative in the process of it, because I can always in my mind go, oh, I really need my 7th Panzer to activate. And it's like, you reach in, you draw that cup. It's like, damn, they didn't go again. Well, why? Well, okay, their fuel was delayed, or their commander was unsure, couldn't read the map, or whatever. And then you reach your finger back in that cup and you pull out it, and it's like he still didn't go. And the best part about that unknown or that narrative is the moment when you absolutely need to go, like, first, right? I've got a hole. You've got 2 chits in the cup because you got these 2 formations here. I've only got maybe 1 or 2 chits left, and I need to go with these guys. And that tension is just so cool, because it can break the game.
And you just don't get that in an I go, you go.
No,
you
because
really don't.
Everything gets... Now, more often than not in an I go, you go, there is some form of a limit. You either have like command points or command range, or it's not like you can activate everybody willy-nilly, but you know, as long as your commanders are within range, you can activate every single guy on your line. Not so in chit pull.
I think with chit pull, it forces you into that, I have to move this formation. So I'm either going to play very conservatively to not create holes, or I'm going to go for that gamble. I'm going to leave a hole, but hopefully I can move my guy up to fill that.
Yep.
But if I can't, I'm going to get exploited.
Yeah.
And it just provides you those decisions where every other game it's like, all right, I move all my guys up in a cohesive line.
Sure.
And so you can never get that punch through and exploit in the same way that your opponent then has to react to very significantly.
So I will say this. I feel like chit pull is more often than not used on the operational level, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's not really used in a grand strategic or a grand tactical.
There is one game where
There's always one game.
Sure. So the one game that I was thinking of just now, and I looked for it, Cataclysm. Massive chip pull game. You chip pull for everything.
Well, and that cup gets so full.
You need a popcorn bowl for the chits in that game. That's the only one that I was like, oh yeah, that one does that.
More on the strategic level. But more often than not, it's operational. There are some tactical games as well. But it really reinforces the concept of the command, right? The command and control structure. You know, operational games, you're an overall commander and you're telling your commanders, hey, you need to do this and do this. So that's what that represents. Whereas we've talked about strategic games, it's more like, I can move everybody, right? You don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's not at that. Or
it's zoomed
most
out.
Tactical games, it's like, here's my guys.
Yeah, I've got 5 guys and you move them all. But there are some that I think have some chit pull elements, and that's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of what, when we say chip pull, that's really what we're talking about. It's the drawing out of a cup for activations.
Or events, right? That will change the game, change something, bring in reinforcements.
Some games have them, some games don't.
Right.
And that's part of the interesting design decision.
But part of the other thing I really like about the chip pull mechanics, some of them have like the supply chit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I'm trying to think...
So the Dark series has that.
Yeah, so it's that concept of, oh my gosh, I don't just have to be in supply at the end of the round. I might have to be in supply every single chip pull because it might come out. I got to really be careful.
That's one of my favorite parts of that game.
It's very cool. The Victory Awaits also had that, I thought.
Gosh, I can't remember.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking.
Let's talk about some of these.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's get the Dark series out.
Okay, so I've got one of my Dark series games here.
Some of these that you can get and are very good. So this is the Dark series. There's also the Deadly Woods.
But it's the Dark series.
Yeah. So we've got the Dark Sands, the Dark Summer, and the Dark Valley, all from GMT. And then the Deadly Woods, because they couldn't use the Dark name for legal reasons, but it's the same designer. These are all from Ted Racer. The Deadly Woods is from Revolution Games, and it's a Bulge game.
Which we have not played the Deadly Woods yet.
I want to, very desperately.
The other 3 we've played.
Yeah, the Dark Valley is the entirety of the East Front, 1941, 1945. It's a big 2-mapper. It's absolutely huge. It's a big monster. Dark Summer is Normandy, 1944, and it is basically just the Normandy to...
it's like D plus 2 or 3 is kind of what it focuses on.
And it's a really good game. It's a small little kind of 1.5 inch box, and I think it was 12 turns, and it is eminently playable. If you can get your hands on the Dark Summer and you want a DD game.
And I really like this one also because it abstracted some very cool things, like basically the peninsula there. It kind of abstracted that concept, so it made the game much more condensed and playable.
Yes.
I felt like this one was like, it's like a 5 or 6 hour Friday night.
So good.
And we played through it. I'm like, dang, that was really good. This one is, if you play this 2-player, it's
a monster game.
Going to be big, right?
It's a very long game.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
This one's just a little more manageable. This one's a little big. I would assume Deadly Woods is on the bigger side. But maybe I'm wrong.
It's one map. And it's 1.5 counter sheets.
So it's not. It's probably more in the line of the Dark Summer.
It says playing time 6 to 12 hours.
Okay.
And then Dark Sands is North Africa, and it has these like 3 different theaters, and there's kind of travel boxes between them for where there's not that much action.
Which is so cool.
And it just helps to shrink the game down.
Yeah.
I remember playing this on your kitchen table.
Oh, we had a blast.
That was just a great memory. I have a very vivid memory of this game.
The other thing that's really cool about this one is the travel box, as you mentioned. So it abstracts, and you can see the maps, that they're not necessarily connecting. There's a lot of desert in between that area that's just kind of abstracted.
So you don't end up with a 4 mapper like North Africa.
I mean, there's still 3 maps, right? But is it 2 maps?
I think it's 2, and they're smaller. I think
they are smaller.
Yeah, they're 2 maps.
Yeah, 2 maps. But it's really cool. And this series, one of the things this series I think does really well is it has the Chit track, right?
Yeah.
Like right there, so it goes. This one, and I'm trying to read that 1 to like 16.
It's a lot. I can't see that.
But when you pull those chits, you put them on that Chit track. And the thing I really enjoyed about that is after the rounds were all done, and we're getting ready to kind of sweep them off and put them back in the cup, you're kind of looking like, oh, that was...
You get to see the story of the game.
Yeah, it's kind of a graphic representation by putting those on the board of how the turn went. So it really would help with AARs, or if you're into that kind of thing. I really enjoy that about, particularly about these games. I don't know if the Deadly Woods has that in it.
It might be off map. The Dark Valley doesn't have that, only just because it's so big, but this one does have it.
This one does have it. So I just think that's very cool. It's kind of a throwaway thing, but I do find that very interesting.
The thing that I love about these is that the Dark Valley especially is where it was very prominent. The Dark Summers got in a slightly different way, but this one, the amount of chits that you put in and the kinds of chits you're allowed to put in, that's where you get the historical kind of modeling of command and supply, a lot of it. So like, very early on in Barbarossa, the Germans have a ton of chits. A lot of their panzer formations have at least 2 chits. And then you get like an extra chit where you can activate another formation. And the Russians have like nothing. But then like that drops off a cliff after the winter of 41-42, and those winter turns you have nothing. And you're just like trying to like just defend and like just move into a straight line. But then you got that one supply chit, and when that supply chit comes up, everyone checks supply. And so if you were gambling and you had run your guys up,
you're out of supply,
then out absolutely hosed. And that's something I really liked about that system, is it just allows for those, if you can pull off those gambles, you feel like you did a thing.
And I think a lot of times in chit pull, I am trying to go against the system, right? You're trying to take advantage of one way or the other, either drawing the chits you need, knowing that you're not going to draw what you need probably till later, but there's always that element of randomness. And then gaming the supply is also very cool. Being worried about that at all times rather than just at the end is such a
I love it when
interesting
a game
twist
has that. But yeah, that was I love that, and with those ones, the chits are dual-sided. And so you'll get a chit that says like move and attack for the Americans, but if for the British it'll be move or attack. And you draw the chit, you have to choose one of those two. And that reflects the different kind of, strategic commands that they had, where they were like, are we being cautious? Are we not? Are we just moving guys? And you can put a lot of asymmetry into a game just with small little things like that. And that's one of the reasons those games are so good.
And that asymmetry really represents the history. Just like you were talking about, over time, some chits will be removed from the game. Some chits will be added to activate additional formations that got more reinforcements or more ammo, and that's the way it goes, and it's going to ebb and flow throughout the war based on what happened historically.
Which enables the history to happen outside of you having messed the game up and not done it.
Sure.
Which I think is really neat at times in games, because there are some times where like I'll play a game and I'm like, I'm doing a lot of very ahistorical stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like,
punished.
Oh, by the way, you don't have any command chits because... a bunch of your guys had to go away, and they were like taken from North Africa to go fight in Greece, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, so you can put a lot of stuff in those. I really like that system. Very, very good.
Let's talk about the red box.
Yes.
Right? And we could have pulled all of them out. We have a bunch of them, but
So yeah, the Red Box series, quote unquote, although I really can't call it that anymore. It's a series of games by Tetsuya Nakamura, and the first ones were... That's yours, so I don't want to hear about that.
I don't know how that happened.
The first ones were in red boxes, and they were East Front games from MMP, and it was like a victory denied.
I'm going to grab one.
A victory lost. We just bought a couple of them, but we haven't actually played any of the ones in the red boxes. Yeah. I think last year, so in 2022 at WBC, we picked up Victory Awaits, which is a 3-mapper, and it is the whole of Barbarossa in 1941.
And outside of the Chit, that game is so cool because it literally is all 3 of the Army Group North, Army Group Center, Army Group South. You can play the individual scenarios, or you can line up 4 or 5 friends.
Yes.
And, you control the German Army Group North, and I control and then you just go down and play the whole game. I just think that's so very cool.
This is a very easy rule set.
Yes. And very easy playing as well. I feel like it's a very solid war game set of rules.
And Victory Awaits is really good as an entry war game.
Agreed.
It's hex and counter, and it can seem like it's daunting.
But it's manageable.
But if you set up one of those maps and just play one of those maps,
it's very manageable.
You don't have a ton of counters on it, really. You really don't. And it's a lot of movement and maneuvering, trying to keep yourself in supply, and you do it through the chip pull, and it's just really easy. So if you're new to wargaming, you could do a lot worse than buying something like a Victory Awaits.
Yeah.
And just playing around with that. It solos excellently because of that chip pull. But the system is as easy and as simple as something like the Standard Combat Series SCS. It's really uncomplicated. Move values, attack values, defensive values. What more do you want, really? So,
and I also think the chit pull takes out a lot of the confusion for newer wargamers, right? How am I going to do this? Or you pull the chit out. Oh, I'm going to activate these 7 formations. Right?
Are they lined up with guys? Great. We're going to attack and then move.
Right.
Are they not? Then we're going to move, then attack. Great.
Yeah, it's just, I think I go, you go is completely fine. It just can be a little overwhelming when you're like, okay, where do I want to attack first? What do I want to do first? I got to move these guys up in support. I got to make sure I have retreat lanes.
Yeah.
This just says, focus on these 10 units and do those moves and attacks, and then see what happens, and then you can focus on everything else later. So
and
that's my opinion.
I can't stress how much of a boon that is to new players.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's a huge credit. So that's Victory Awaits is really good for that.
I really liked that game.
Yeah, massive. Traces of War, which is same designer, same system.
Yep, uses chit pull.
So this one's actually from VUCA Simulations.
And this one is utterly gorgeous.
Yes, and they're a company out of Germany, and I think they've got more coming out in this series,
I hope they
believe.
do.
I'm almost 100%
Because
if I read
I
that.
played this one and I had a fantastic time.
Now, this one is, it's a 2-mapper, and you kind of need both maps.
Yeah.
And you do have a lot more counters in it, I felt.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was a whole line.
And it's like, your line is like 2 deep, and sometimes they're stacked with things. So I felt like there was a lot more counter density in this, although it's still not very much. You don't have big stacks or anything.
No. Well, and I think the stacking limit is 2.
I think it's 2, yeah.
So it's very manageable.
But there's a lot of counters in it for a small little game.
Yeah.
And it was really enjoyable. That same chip pull, I think as the Russians had 4 different colored formations, and I had 6 chits that I could put in, so I could activate 2 of them twice at the beginning. And
wasn't the cool thing, you could only put a certain amount of chits in each turn.
Yeah, like...
So you might have 6 formation chits, but you're choosing 4 or 5 to build the cup.
You have 8 formation chits,
Yeah.
but then you also have things like the Russian powers, your reinforcements, your replacements, and your supply.
Yep.
And you have to put in some of those, like you have to put in your supply chit. But then the reinforcements, you don't have to put it in if you don't want to.
No.
Your reinforcements just don't arrive, but like you don't have to reinforce your guys if you want to put in more commands. Even that decision space, fascinating.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool. And this was an excellent operational game as well. Like this covers like the whole of the freaking East Front. This is very focused, and it's just charging across the map, trying to take some key cities, basically.
Yeah.
But doing that and doing it efficiently very difficult.
Yeah, it's basically Kursk from August of 43 to March of 44. So and frankly, the other thing I liked about this game, I played the Germans. I was getting my butt kicked, but I was having a good time doing it.
Yeah.
And the reason, because I found myself managing those chit formations, managing what I put in, but also trying to plug holes and create delays, because all I was trying to do was stop you from getting to the river by the end of turn, whatever it was, 7 or 8.
And the maps in this one, the style of the maps in this is just really nice.
Yeah, these are gorgeous.
This was wonderful. And yeah, we've got Victory Denied and
we
Victory
haven't played
Lost.
yet.
So there's more to come from that series from us. But
and you said there were more coming from VUCA?
I swear I read that somewhere.
Boy, that would be awesome, because I really enjoy those.
Because the system is so good.
Yeah.
There'll never be one of those that I don't want to play.
Sure.
Because it's so easy. And those are eminently playable.
So it's also interesting, that series specifically focuses on the East Front, right?
Yes.
I wonder why they haven't jumped to like North Africa, or...
I wonder if that's just the designer's area of expertise.
Yeah, maybe that's what he enjoys.
But I would love to see more of it.
Interesting.
So, okay. Couple standalone titles that we've got going on here.
Yeah, let's talk about this one and this one.
Is this...
Yeah, so this is the Blind Swords, and then we have Black Swan here.
Yeah,
so
this is modified Blind Swords. I don't think they call it Blind Swords.
Yeah, whatever.
But the Blind Sword system, that's what we're going to call it, from Hermann Luttmann.
Yeah.
This is at any cost Metz 1870. So this is the Battle of Metz in the Franco-Prussian War. This is a wonderful game. It is a gorgeous game. This was our first experience with this particular system.
Yep.
Gosh, this was one of the first few chit pull games that we played, though. I think Saipan maybe
we both lived in
one of the first.
Well, I lived in Brownsburg. You lived in Fishers at that point.
We played this in Fishers.
Yeah.
This is a wildly underrated game.
Yeah.
Please go out and buy this game.
It's a long one, and
it's so good.
There's a lot of crunch to the system.
Yeah.
But the chit pull is so fantastic because it incorporates, and I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth, the 4 F's of war that Herman loves, right? What are those 4 F's, Alexander?
Did he write it down
I
here?
hope he did, because
it's Fog of War.
Fog of War, Friction of War.
Yes.
Fortunes of War.
Yes.
What's the 4th one?
The Friends of War.
The Fun of War? No, that's terrible. I can't remember what the 4th one. I do this every time.
Yeah.
Someone tell us what the 4th one is. Call me out.
But you have your regular formation activation chits in this one, but you also have like these lots of events and stuff that
they're
happen.
Crazy.
And the grand story that comes out of this game from when we played it was it your cavalry?
Mm-hmm. It was my cavalry.
His cavalry got out of command because command range and command radius in this is very important.
So when you get out, you have a chance of doing some of these funky, weird things.
Yeah, so if you get out of command range, you pull that formation's chit, you activate the commander and everyone in command range.
Yeah.
And everyone who's not in command range, there is a chance that they will, of their own volition, do whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
And in this particular game, we basically went down through, because they pull a little chit to see what they do, and then you roll to see what the outcomes of that are. And basically this cav unit got itself out of command, and then when the orders never arrived, they thought,
surely we're going to charge the Gatling gun.
We're gonna charge the cannons, because he wanted to be a hero and to win the battle. And watching a cavalry formation charge down the closest cannon,
it was crazy.
and they got eviscerated. And then whatever remnants ran away.
Yeah, I think it got flipped over and they ran. But that was one of my more powerful units.
Those little moments like that are so fun and kind of crazy. But you're like, you know what? That probably something like that happened, where some commander gets all high and mighty and thinks he's going to do something and win himself some glory, and gets his,
Well, when subordinates, get out on their own, out from underneath the heavy thumb of the overall commander, sometimes crazy things happen.
Yeah.
But also sometimes heroic things happen. Right?
And sometimes those two things are the same.
Yeah, right.
And so this was wonderful. The blind sword systems is excellent for that.
Yeah.
You get great stories, and this was a game where I felt the chit pull really threw out great stories and fun narrative moments to it as well.
Plus, I love the combat system in that one. It's just so insane. There's a lot of
one of the most brutal games I've ever played.
There's volley fire when you're advancing, so you advance, and the defenders get to smoke you, and then the cannons are just, I mean.
Yeah,
the grape shot, it's just unreal.
It's Mets, but like it's that same feeling almost as an ACW game, which is why it uses that same system. Yeah. Blind Swords is an American Civil War system that you're able to transport because it's that incredibly deadly weaponry with Napoleonic tactics, and those two things do not mix.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, wonderful. Go and buy this.
Yeah.
Go and buy it.
So one of our friends, Russ Wetley, and one of our other friends, Bill Simone, played this at Buckeye Game Fest, and I think they both were converts after. And they played the whole thing.
Russ is still he even just the other day he was professing that he's like an addict to the Franco-Prussian War.
Got it.
Because it's just such an interesting and kind of underrepresented little period of war.
We just got the second edition copy of By Iron and Blood by Herman Lettman from Blue Panther, and it's one I would like to play.
Yeah.
But we got so many games.
It's true.
So this is another standalone. You also have...
I have Guam.
Yeah, you have Guam. Do we have another one in the system?
No, there is another one. I think it's
Tinian, maybe.
A small one.
So yeah, Saipan, the Bloody Rock, and this is Guam Return to Glory. These are the company scale system from Compass Games, but designed by Adam Starkweather. And I think both these games are by Adam specifically. This one's by Ross Mortel.
Same with this one.
Okay. So Adam did the series, and then Ross took these. So the thing that I like about this chit pull is it's kind of dual purpose. So there are formation chits, company chits, where you're going to pull those out and you're going to activate that company's 7 or 10 units on the board. But there's also some what are called I think they're called overall command chits.
Yes.
And that gives you as the commander the choice of saying, okay, I can activate this formation, and even though it wasn't their specific draw.
But yeah,
right?
If that formation is in that commander's kind of purview, you get a little bit of freedom within that.
So it gives some of that freedom to allow a little more off-script, maneuvering and combat. I just think that's very well done, and I've enjoyed systems that do have that kind of an opportunity for you to make a choice, right? The chit draw is enforcing on you what you got to do, but then sometimes you get a simple opportunity. And I do enjoy that. This game is fantastic. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
I want to play it again. I want to get back to these.
Well, it's big, right?
And they're long.
Does it have...
This is a 2-mapper.
Yeah.
This is a 4-mapper.
And I think we just did a 1-map, like a 6-hour scenario, but we did and the amphib landing process is so interesting here. This is one I would love to play too. So
I now have a table big enough for it.
Yeah, we do now.
And it's huge, and it's long, and you're playing these. The CSS is the company scale system. Mm-hmm. You're playing at a company level, so you're going down into a lot of minutia you do not get in operational games.
Yep.
Where you're like, I'm assigning the kind of heavy weapons platoon
and the flamethrower
within my, they might detach from this platoon and go somewhere else. And attached to this company, if I want to assign them, you can move those assets around.
Which is very unique. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, it adds to kind of some of the depth and the crunch of the game.
If I remember correctly, one of my formations just got eviscerated. And I think I absolutely did that, where I detached or disattached a couple of my weapons and moved them over to another company so they had that firepower because they were in better... And that was, I thought, very interesting that I made that decision. Even though I pulled a chit, I made a decision to do that.
Yeah. I also remember doing a banzai charge and everyone died.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
These games are just brutal.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Saipan, the Bloody Rock. Yeah. Really enjoyed that. Let's go ahead and talk about, because we already talked about Black Swan, or I'm sorry.
Blind Sword.
Blind Sword. This is Black Swan, which is nothing more than Blind Sword. changed a little bit,
Yes.
right? So this is not traditional chit pull.
No.
How does it do its chit pull?
It does
mechanic?
its chit pull with cards.
With cards.
So it's card pull, but it's chit pull. It's the
But
same.
it's the same.
concept.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So you even have the friction of war cards, but you have these cards that allow you to activate various core, right?
Yes.
So you'll have a certain amount of those, like, oh, I can activate Reynolds core. So you're drawing cards and then making the decision.
And it's from a fixed stack that you shuffle, just like you're randomizing a chit cup.
Yep. And it also has, like I said, the friction of war cards that were chits in At Any Cost are in here as well. I think that's very cool, and I actually enjoy when games kind of, because it just shakes it up, right? It's the same concept, the same activation mechanic, or it's just in card format.
Similar, but like mechanically a little bit different in this one is that you have your big command displays with your different commanders, and you have to put your commanders in whatever priority that you want to be able to activate them. Because you're then going to, if you pull your overall command, you're going to roll a die, and it's more likely that your priority 1 guys are going to receive that order than the priority 3 guys. And so there's this extra layer of this command system in there. So you're going to pull a card, and it might activate a specific guy. Or you might pull the overall, and then you're going to roll to see which one of your other guys, based on some decisions you've made, and then they get to activate as well. So it has an extra layer of it there where there's even less guarantee of what you can and can't do.
So the other games in this kind of series, A Devil's to Pay, which was a small box game from Tiny Battle Publishing, and there was one other. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Oh, was it?
I'm drawing a blank.
No.
It was also from Tiny Battle Publishing.
Yeah,
They did 2 of them.
I can picture the box, and I can't remember what it's called.
This was my game of the year last year because it was so freaking amazing.
It was a stunning game.
I still want to set this up.
We also have a table big enough.
Do all the boards and get 3 or 4 guys, because I think the biggest scenarios you can do 2 to 4, and I would love to have 4 of us controlling different formations, and
that also helps with the speed of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which that's a big part of when you play these massive scenarios. If you can get a couple players in, you guys are fighting over there. That's not affecting what we're doing. We're going to fight down here. Your game's twice as quick.
Yeah, this is from Flying Pig Games. Herman Lettman. Herman Lettman loves chit pull because it's chaos, right? I know.
Adds an element of the unknown.
Yeah, this has a 2nd edition that just came out a couple of months ago, so you can probably still get it. I recommend this game heartily, especially if you enjoy American Civil War. You enjoyed this game,
even
did you
if you don't enjoy Civil War,
you'll enjoy the game.
You will love this game as a game. It is wonderful.
Yeah, it is really good. So really enjoyed that game. Let's also talk about the next one I have.
Also from Flying Pig Games.
All right. Yeah. You want to talk about this one?
Okay.
I love this game.
This is Armageddon War. I don't even know if you can get this anymore.
Yeah, I don't think you can, unfortunately.
Armageddon War is a platoon level game about like a,
it's like a future,
hypothetical, very near future Middle East. So you have things like Abrams tanks.
Yep.
But you also have like cyber robot dogs and like missile mounted on your MBTs, which that exists, but like that's not as well. It uses a custom dice system, which is really fun, but the chit pull in this game...
Yeah, the custom dice are really, really nice.
The chit pull in this game is what makes this game as good as it is. And this is one that is actually very different from all of the other games that we've talked about so far. All the other games we've talked about so far, it's turn 1. Put these chits into this cup, and we're going to keep drawing until the turn is over. In this game, it is a rolling activation system. So you have all these chits and formations in the game.
I think they called it continuous activation.
Yeah. And basically, you just keep pulling them until there's only like 3 left or 2 left in the cup, and then you just put them all back in.
Yeah, so you're
leave the 2 that were left on there.
You're not guaranteed to activate.
And you just... What it means is, and that might not sound like a lot, but the other part of it is that there is no admin phase to this game. When you activate a formation, all of their statuses kind of get reduced. So guys who were like used become unused, or guys who were like very disrupted become used. And there's a few different layers to that. And what this does is it means that your game starts and you keep going until it finishes.
Yeah, there's no traditional turns or rounds.
There's no turns,
which is really
at
fascinating.
all.
The turns really are when that track gets filled up, but it's not.
But there's no. It's just put them back in and keep going.
Yeah.
There's no like. Oh, there's the reset phase. We're going to do all
Take
this and remove
marker.
all of the smoke blows 2 spaces to the east. None of that.
Yeah.
I cannot express to you how well that comes out. When we played a couple scenarios of this. When we played that big one, and we just were going through it and through it and through it, the pace of the game and the fact that there is no reprieve, just mentally as a player, like there's no like, I just got to get to the end of the turn. You do not have that as a safety blanket. As just like to like kind of get over things and like, okay, we got to get to here and then we can reset. Maybe we'll get a new hand of cards and that'll help out. Nope. You just keep going through this. The pace is like rip roaring and it just feels very intense and you go, go, go. I very desperately want more from this system.
Well, and I have seen pictures of, trying to remember what the gentleman's name is. I want to say it's Greg Porter.
Yes.
Okay. Does it say that on there somewhere?
You said Greg Porter, and that's absolutely
Greg
the case.
Porter design. So I have seen, in fact, I have one on my phone. I can show you if you...
I don't think we're allowed to show you.
No, I found this online. So this is like in the general domain.
I mean...
I'm pretty good about sleuthing it up and trying to find crap. But there's a new game that they're designing. There it is right there. So same dice, right? Same system. But I can't remember what it was called. But I found that on Facebook.
It is so good.
Yeah, so very good.
Like, yeah. And it's the system that propels this forward.
I think it's so good and it's very challenging for me. We're probably 3 years removed from playing this. You're going to have to go back and watch our video because I think at that point we were all fully understanding. But it's hard to explain why it's so good.
To me, it's the pace of that game.
Well, no, I get it, but it just feels so different than many games that we've played. It was such a unique and interesting experience.
You're in one constant long battle the whole game, and it does not feel like a game.
It's just fascinating.
Like this, I remember playing this, and it was like, oh, did that just ruin all the other games for me?
Yeah, and it was very, very good.
Oh, we got to use that system.
Very good.
Just that concept was so fun. Really, really, really good.
Yeah, very good. I've got a couple more solo games that I want to talk about because these are kind of a little bit... Here, you want to hold that Kaiser Krieg? Sure. So these are in the States of Siege series. So these are designed by... Here, maybe scoot it over just a little bit. Designed by Ben Madison and published by White Dog Games. These are... And if you know anything about States of Siege series, you typically use cards. You draw cards and it tells you some events that are happening. It moves the enemy around the board, attacks you, and then it tells you, you have 3 actions or opportunities to do. They're called different things in every game. These 3 games...
So which ones have we got?
So we've got Jeff Davis, The Confederacy at War. So this is an American Civil War where you're playing as the Confederacy. This is Global War, which is you're playing as the Allies in World War II, both the Pacific, the North African, and European and East Front. So it's all there. That's why it's called Global War. And this is Kaiser Krieg, which is World War I, and you are playing as the
Germans.
The Germans and
the Central Powers.
Yeah, Central Powers. I was trying to draw the name from my memory banks. But these, you draw chits. So rather than activation cards that tell you what to do, you draw chits. And each of these games has somewhere between 30 and 40 turns. Very, very long. But you draw these chits out and you literally read them top to right, left to right, top to bottom. And you just follow them. And it tells you based on symbols, okay, this track moves, or these 2 tracks moves, or this event goes off. And then you get this. And your activations do not come from the chit pull at all. Your activations come from the amount of money that you have. You'll have blockade runners. In the Jeff Davis one, you had blockade runners. You had blockade runners here. I'm not sure. These are probably shipping Allied
like
convoys
Merchant Navy
coming over. But I just think it's so unique that they've taken, the cards out of it. Very similar to what the Blind Swords and the Black Swan did. They went from chits to cards. These went from cards to chits. And it's very unique and interesting. Makes the game really fast to play because you see immediately the icon and you're like, bam. But there's always a ton of them. Jeff Davis, I think, is like a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of battles. There's a lot of things going on. Kaiser Krieg the same. I haven't played Global War yet, but that's one I'm gonna play this month. So I love these games from White Dog. These are fantastic. I will never get rid of these. These will always stay in my collection. But a good example of chit pull that's used differently than some of the other games in its own series.
Yeah. One of my last ones that I'm going to talk about today is Gallipoli 1915, which is Churchill's Greatest Gamble from GMT Games. This came out, in like 2018, I think it was. And a big, massive game on Gallipoli. It's 2 maps. And
hundreds and hundreds of chits on the board at once.
Hundreds of chits, hundreds of counters.
Lots of charts and tables that you had to look at.
Yes.
There were decimal points in these losses and hits.
Oh, yeah.
And mathematical calculations.
You have quarter strength units.
Yeah.
That's what kind of game this is. It is very detailed. It is very crunchy. They actually came out with like a 2nd edition rules and some updated charts and tables. You can get those on the GMT website. You basically have to play with those. It makes the game much more playable. The first time we played, we did not play with
I
those.
still enjoyed the system, though.
It was still very enjoyable, but it was a lot
Very
of
slogging.
work.
Yeah, very slogging, I thought.
And part of that is because this is a chip pull game. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to activate this particular formation of, like, the New Zealanders. And they all have this black stripe at the top. But the problem is that there's so many counters in this game, and so many, you can break down your units into these tiny little guys that they all become mixed in and stacked with a bunch of different colors. And so, like, this is one of the problems with chip pull, is it's like trying to find your counters.
Yeah.
There are some games like this where it was like, that was not great.
And I felt like CSS Saipan was kind of like that. There were so many formations and so many colors, it was sometimes hard to pick those out.
I got the new stuff with it, which you could download. I got that a few years ago and set it up and played some new scenarios. It was eminently more playable, but it was still, this is a very crunchy game. I believe, because it's by Jeff Phipps, he's doing Mons.
So I think they canceled that one.
No, but I think it got picked up by someone else.
By someone else, okay.
Or it's in the design process. I hope that it sees the light of day.
Yeah, so this is the Rifle and Spade series, and this was volume 1. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty.
It's not for everyone
slow.
because it is very rich.
Yeah.
A lot of rules, and it's very complex.
But if they can use the updated 2nd edition things that you played with a year or 2 ago,
and they
I
kind
would
of
love to play that
took
game.
out a bunch of stuff from the series rules, like all the landing stuff in here were in the series rules when they should have been in the game specific rules.
Got it.
Because most of the other battles of World War I do not have landings in them.
Yeah.
So like there's some.
Is there any other World War I amphibious landings?
Yes, there are. There's a few.
What am I missing?
Most of them you don't know about.
Okay,
but it's a lot of stuff in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean.
Okay.
But it was all mostly minor and not particularly opposed stuff. But this is a chit pull game. It is massive. And I kind of brought this out to show that, like, you can have a chit pull game in these very simple and streamlined red box games, or you can have them in these
Very
big,
deep.
frankly, monster complex games and everything in between. And so if I was going to play Gallipoli again, it's almost invariably always going to be solo at some point, just because it's so long. And the chip pull really allows that to happen, so it's more likely that I'm going to play this than if it wasn't a chip pull game, basically.
Yeah. It was a great game. I really enjoyed it. So the final 2 games I've got, these are not traditional chit pull. That needs to be highlighted. These are called the 3 Draw Cup series, basically.
You have Stilicho. Is that the other one?
Nope. The other one is Charlemagne.
Oh.
And I didn't bring it, and I don't know why I didn't bring it. Because Charlemagne should be in between here. It should be right here as the second volume. But so this is Agricola from Hollandspiel. It deals with Agricola's conquest of the British Isles, right, during, I can't remember the years.
I don't know, it's upside down, I can't read
I know, what the heck? Well, this box is weird. This is a weird box. Shut up. I haven't looked at some of these games in a long time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This game is Aurelian, right, and this is the same system, the 3 draw cup system. So what the 3 cup system is it represents the way the governed feel about your presence, right? So the barbarians, the tribes, how did they feel about the Britons being, or Romans being in Britain, and how did they feel about the Romans being in, I can't remember where it was.
In Gaul, I believe.
In Gaul. It goes down to Egypt as well.
Oh, okay, it's much larger.
But those 3 cups, so one is friendly, one is hostile, and then one is kind of ambivalent. And you're going to move units based on what your actions do. So when you go out and you put down a rebellion, you're going to piss some people off. So they start moving from the friendly cup to the moderately bothered cup. And once they get into the hostile cup, they're going to be drawn and put out on the board. So you're going to have more fires to put out. So you have to really think about what you're doing and how you're doing it. You really have to manage the cups. And you can see I drew my own labels. So I could put it there and go, this is the hostile cup, and this is the friendly cup.
Yeah, don't pull out the wrong one.
Well, or pull one out and put it in the wrong location. Has nothing to do with activation, but it has to do with your actions and the consequences. I have videos on these on the channel and written stuff on the blog. I just wanted to show that chit pull doesn't need to just be activation. It also can be effects or something that happens. These games are fantastic. I love them. I played them many, many times. And really, I look forward to the next one that Amabel designs.
Yes.
So, anyway.
So yeah, there's 10,000 million chit pull games out there that we could talk about, and there's a million we haven't played as well. But it is when someone says, "Oh, this is a chit pull game," kind of like when someone says, "This is a CDG."
Yeah.
There is at this point in my career an element of assumed kind of knowledge. Okay, I know at least something about this game.
Sure.
And how I have to think about and approach some of the other elements in the game. So that's something that I like. It's a system that enables solitaire play very easily, and it gives me, narrative moments or tension, or it makes command decisions that little bit more interesting. Those are all things I love in games. Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, it's a chit pull game," I'm always, more inclined towards it in that way as well. So let us know down below what your favorite chit pull games are.
And like you said, there's a ton of them.
Yes.
And there's more that we've played that we didn't talk about
Oh my gosh.
today.
I'm sorry. I totally forgot.
That was a really good system. I really wish we could have played that more.
This is
Storming the Gap.
World at War 85. This is not technically, but also basically part of the Nations at War series. It's the same basic system.
From Lock and Load.
This even has its own solitaire system you could use, but you don't need it. This is a massive, bombastic World War III game, but there's World War II ones. This is great because everything's it's a company scale game. So you're going to activate a company, and each one of your counters is a platoon within that company. So you get some of that fun stuff of like the different types of platoons within the company, but it's real. Here's my little formation, I'm going to activate those guys. And watching them play the big one at WBC a few years ago, a person would come up, pull a card, because they use cards, not chits, and you would then activate that formation and learn the game, and then they would either play more or they'd walk on. Yeah. Demoing the game was so easy because you just pulled the chit.
And I think we sat down and did maybe one turn and we were like, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, love that system. But yeah, there's so much out there. Let us know what your favorite chit pull games are. But either way, appreciate you tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.